it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What's up, guys? My name is Brendan, and today I am sore. My body hurts. And I figured this would be a perfect time to take you guys through my recovery stretching session. You see, guys, tricking is so physically demanding that often you need to stretch out your body to relieve muscle soreness and to also access new range of motion. Guys, this is the routine that I use whenever my body is just super sore. I'll be going through piece by piece and giving you guys plenty of tips along the way. So with that said, let's get started. Now guys, when it comes to recovery, I like to have a routine. So I start from the top of my body and then I slowly go down until I hit my feet. I'm gonna start by stretching my neck. You see guys, tricking athletes often twist one direction far more than the other, and that can lead to a few neck issues. So to take care of your neck, what I like to do is just neck rolls. So I'll sit, I'll relax, and I'll roll my head through its entire range of motion. Now, as I do this, I am looking to see if there's any points of tension. If there's a point of tension, like right there in my neck, I'll kind of hang out in that area until that tension goes away, until I'm able to move to the next spot. And I'll go through my entire range of motion, trying to stretch my neck. I'll try and go as far forward, as far backwards, and as far to each side as I can. And in doing that, I'm able to stretch my entire neck. Plus, I'll also do a few stretches aside from the mobility rolls. I might grab my head and just slowly lean to one side as I put a slight pressure along that stretch. Now I'll do this to both sides, to the front, but to the back I don't apply tension, I just relax. And guys, after doing that, my neck feels a lot better and I'm ready to move down to my chest and my shoulders. Now we move to stretching our chest and our shoulders. And guys, these are extremely important for tricking because they control your twisting and all of your arm motions. Now guys, I like to start by stretching my chest with an open chest stretch. To perform this, you just lay on your chest, extend your arms, and then lean from one side to the other, stretching out your pec. I'm gonna do that one real quick. As you do this, you wanna make sure you get a nice open stretch throughout your whole chest. If you're feeling it in your shoulder or your arm, you're doing it wrong. You should be feeling it right throughout your chest. Now it will almost help to push your chest forward as you do this stretch to try and make your pec as long as you can. Now guys, notice I'm taking my time in each stretch, trying to get a nice solid range of motion throughout the muscle that I'm trying to work. And guys, if you do a lot of twisting drills, this stretch will probably feel really good. Now that we've stretched our chest, we're gonna move to our shoulders. And I like to start that with a seated shoulder stretch. To do that, stick your hands right beside your bottom, put your feet on the ground, and then move forward, trying to stretch your shoulders. If you guys wanna make this exercise a little bit more difficult, shift your legs from side to side, focusing on your opposite shoulder. So when I move my legs to my right, I'm focusing on stretching my left shoulder. And when I move my legs to the left, I'm focusing on the right. This is one of the best ways to stretch your arms if they're sore from the eagle position. when you do an eagle, you have to pull them back, and that can lead to a lot of tension right in the front of your shoulder. And I like to get rid of that just by doing the seated shoulder stretch. And again, moving from side to side just gives you a little bit deeper range of motion and helps stretch out those shoulders all the more. They are feeling a lot better already. Next, I'll do a mobility exercise. I'll do shoulder circles. I'll do them tiny and I'll do them really big. Doing shoulder circles means I have good mobility through my entire range of motion, because the seated shoulder stretch really focused on flexibility at the front of your shoulder. All right, I like to start with little circles, going one way and then switching, going the other. Ooh, this way is more sore than the other one. Guys, as you go through these stretches, listen to your body. It'll be telling you things as you go. Like one muscle is more sore than the next. Maybe your arms are tired. Maybe your legs are good. You can listen to your body as you stretch and learn a lot. The bigger shoulder circles you do, the more you're able to get through your entire range of motion. Now you see, you'll feel tightness in given areas. Like I feel a little bit more tightness in my right shoulder than my left. That means I might need to stretch this one a little bit more later today. I love shoulder circles. The last thing I'm gonna do for my chest and my shoulders is a bridge. And I'm gonna rock back and forth and hold it for as long as I can. Guys, the bridge is a super important exercise, not only for back flexibility, but for stretching your chest and for giving you the shoulder mobility you need. So I'm gonna do a bridge and rock back and forth a little bit until my shoulders feel nice and comfortable. The bridges is probably the least fun of all the stretches. That is not fun, but it is really good for you, so I would completely recommend it. Guys, those are the stretches that I like to do for my chest and my shoulders. Now I'm gonna move to my back, and the bridge is a great exercise for that as well. As I move from stretch to stretch, I'll almost descend down my body, and one stretch often works multiple body parts. Okay guys, I'm gonna move to my back. Next, we move to stretching our back. And guys, one of the most common complaints that I hear from trickers is that they're experiencing a lot of lower back pain. And guys, I experience it too. It kind of comes with tricking to a certain degree, but you can alleviate a lot of that pain just by doing recovery stretching and taking care of your body. These are a few of the lower back stretches and the back stretches that I do to alleviate a lot of the pain that you get from doing a physically intense acrobatic sport. I'm gonna start by doing a cross stretch of my lower back. To do this, I like to sit in a pike position, cross one leg over the other, and then take my opposite hand to push against the leg. I apologize for the plane sound. Oh, it's a helicopter. Never mind, it's a helicopter. They like to fly overhead right when I film. As I do this stretch, I normally feel a lot of tension. I might crack my back a few times, but I'm not trying to force it. I'm trying to relax and slowly move into the stretch as I add more and more tension. And guys, like I said earlier, you need to listen to your body. If one side feels a little bit more tight than the other, it's not a bad thing to hang out there and to really stretch it. Stretching is supposed to be active. You need to be thinking as you're doing it. You're not just laying in a static position. As I'm stretching, I'm listening to my body, getting the feedback and acting accordingly. That is so important for not overstretching and also getting a nice relaxing stretch. After the lower back cross stretch, I like to stand up and lean backwards and forwards, trying to stretch my frontal line, so my abs and my back, a lot of the spinal muscles. I'll just stand in a neutral position, lean forward as far as I can, and then lean backwards as far as I can. As you do this, you might feel a stretch in your hamstring. That's totally fine. Just roll with it. And when I stretch back, I'll often feel a stretch in my abs, in my core. That's totally fine. Everything is connected. So as you're stretching your core, you're also kind of stretching your back. While these stretches have one focus, they are pretty holistic. Now guys, that stretches the front of your back along that frontal plane, but we also want to work to the side. So I'm going to do the same lean, but to the sides of my body instead of to the front and back. Doing this, you'll probably feel a big stretch in your ribs and your oblique. That is totally good. You want to be feeling a stretch as you move through each position. My right side is more tight than my left on that one. Which is totally normal, because I aggressively go that way whenever I work my Gumby, which was the trick of the week this week. Lastly guys, I'll just do a few twists to get my back feeling even more comfortable. Now that I've stretched the front, the sides, and did that cross, it feels a lot better. Guys, if you're experiencing lower back pain, stretch your back. Trust me, it will make a world of difference. And now that we've done our back, our chest, a little bit of our core, our shoulders, and our neck, we're gonna move to our hips, one of the most important parts for tricking. All right, guys, the next step is to stretch our hips. And guys, if you're experiencing that lower back pain that I talked about earlier, it might be because of muscles that are attached to your hips. Tight glutes and tight hamstrings often lead to a lot of lower back pain. So guys, again, to alleviate that, do some of the stretches I'm about to perform. Now guys, I'm gonna start by stretching a middle split. Now, a lot of athletes hate their splits, and you know, I'm not that different. I'm not a big fan of stretching the splits. It's not fun per se, but it is really important. Now guys, the biggest mistake that I see when people start stretching their splits is they rush and make it uncomfortable and painful. Now guys, I'm feeling a little bit of tension in my adductors as I lower into this middle split, but it's nothing that's causing extreme pain. Once I get to about here, where it starts to be more and more painful, I'll put my hands down and I'll relax. And I'll kind of just go back and forth, going through the full range of motion of my middle split, moving my hips back and in front. Making the stretches dynamic instead of completely static is a great way to make your body feel comfortable as it moves through them. My body is tight. Now I can relax a little bit more and try and get a deeper and deeper middle split. Now guys, if you want to get a bigger range of motion, look up PNF stretching. It's a great technique for adding range of motion. That said, today I'm not adding range of motion. I'm just focusing on recovery. So I'm just gonna move through my max range of motion right now and just kind of hang out. Once I get into the middle split, I'll sit down and I'll go back and forth, stretching my sides and getting my hamstrings. Doing a little bit of back and forth as I'm in the middle split does a great job of really stretching those hamstrings And you also get a little bit of your oblique as you do this stretch. Now guys, I also like to do rainbow stretches. So I'll get my hands up, I'll go down on one side, all the way across, and then back up. And I'll do that going both ways. Oh, this is a really good stretch. Now guys, I'm feeling my left hamstring is a little bit tighter than my right. And that's because I pulled it a few months back. Guys, when you pull a muscle, you have to stretch it for months following the injury, because that muscle just wants to get tighter and tighter and tighter every time you train. All right, now that I've done enough of the middle split, I'll do split turns to get into my front splits. So I'll turn my hips and pivot my body as I move into this plane and this motion. And a lot of people will say not to bounce as you stretch. I do agree. You don't want to aggressively bounce in your stretch, but a little hippity hop won't hurt. Doing a little bounce, just a very little bounce, will help a ton to get a little bit more of a range of motion. And guys, keep in mind that bounce does need to be light. It should not be aggressive or heavy. Ugh. And because my left hamstring was tighter than my right, my left split feels way worse than my right does. So I'll probably spend a little bit of extra time on my left side than I do on my right, because my goal is to make my body even, to make my right side just as flexible as my left, and my left side just as flexible as my right. If one side is stronger, tighter, or more flexible than the other, chances are you could get asymmetry in your body and it could lead to pain, and no one likes that pain. Ugh. Huh. Now that I've worked my hips to the side, I'll bring my legs in and do the classic butterfly stretch. And I don't really like to flap aggressively. Rather, I'll grab my feet and push my hips down using my elbows. Usually when I do this, I'll hear a large popping sound in my hips. Kind of normal for me. A little bit of popping and cracking as you stretch isn't a bad thing, as long as there's no pain associated with it. If you're feeling a crack or a pop and there's a lot of pain, chances are you stretched too far. Guys, the last thing I'm gonna do to stretch out my hips is my glutes. To do that, I'm gonna do a pigeon stretch. So I'll extend one leg to the side as I go into a lunge, and I try and push down and extend the glute of my left side, if my left butt is the one that's on the ground. Ugh. Tricking athletes will often work their glutes a ton. It gives you a really nice butt. But in doing so, you also add a lot of tension to your body. If your glutes are really tight, they'll pull on your lower back and cause a lot of pain if you're not consistently stretching them. And guys, the stretches you do don't need to be painful, aggressive, or unnecessary. They can just be relaxing and a little bit enjoyable. Like this entire time that I've been stretching, it has been painful. It has been uncomfortable, but it hasn't been so painful or so uncomfortable that I'm not enjoying the experience and enjoying going into the stretch and getting kind of a relaxing vibe out of it. Ugh. And guys, with the splits, the butterfly, and then that one, the glute stretch, I feel way more comfortable with my hips, and I feel a lot less soreness around that area. And now that we've done our hips, we're gonna move down to our quads, our hamstrings, and the rest of our legs. And guys, the last three muscles that I'll be focusing on today are my quads, my hamstrings, and my calves. To stretch your quads, it's extremely important, especially if you're feeling pain in your hips. Chances are your hip flexor in your quad might just be too tight. And if you can stretch it out, you could alleviate a lot of that pain and also get a deeper range of motion. For my quads, I like to get in a lunge position, grab my back foot, and lift it as far up as I can. As I do this, I'll push my base hip forward to really extend through the quad. Oh. This is a muscle that I don't stretch as often as I should. I'm really good at stretching my chest, my shoulders, my hamstrings, but I'm really bad at stretching my quad. Guys, it's good to have a little bit of self-awareness and know what you're good at stretching and what you're bad at stretching. So that way you can know what you should focus on and not focus on. It just comes to knowing how you are as an athlete and being really realistic with yourself. Oh, that feels so much better. All right, now I'm gonna move to the other one. It's kind of an awkward stretch to get into, but once you're there, it feels really good. Oh. And guys, you should be feeling this stretch all throughout your quad, specifically maybe right at the top. That's where I feel it the most, right near my hip. Oh. It feels so much better to stretch, guys. Trust me, if you feel tight and if you're in pain, stretch out and a lot of that pain will go away. Oh. All right, now that I've done my quads, I'm gonna move to my hamstrings. And to start, I like to stand forward and just touch the ground as far as I can, and almost try and walk my hands behind me, trying to get as deep of a stretch as I can and trying to feel it throughout the back of my legs and maybe my glutes. So I'm feeling it in the back of my legs, my hamstrings, and my glutes. I'm doing it right. If you want to make this stretch a little bit more difficult, like I want to right now, cross one leg in front of the other and then lean forward again. That will focus on one leg more than the other. The leg that's in back is the one that's going to be stretching a little bit extra. So for me, I have my left leg in back, or my left leg in front and my right leg in back, and that one's the one that's getting the extra stretch as I cross and lean back. All right, I'm gonna stretch my hamstring a little bit more with a basic stretch, just a seated hamstring stretch, leaning forward. I stretched my hamstring a bit when I did the splits earlier, so they're already kind of warmed up. I don't need to be, too aggressive with them since I've already stretched them a bit. Lastly, guys, we're going to stretch our calf. And to do that, what I like to do is I like to extend one leg in front, I like to grab my toes, and I like to pull back. And as I pull back, I'm trying to extend throughout this entire, body section. I'm trying to make my calf and my Achilles tendon nice and long as I also pull up and almost stretch my hamstring a bit. Your calf, your hamstring, your glutes, and your lower back are all connected. So if one feels maybe in pain or sore, it could be because one of the other parts in the system is feeling tight or overworked. Keep in mind that your body is a system and each part connects to the next. So if you're not taking care of your glutes, that might translate up to your shoulders eventually, even though that is like a really extreme case. It feels so good to stretch my calves since I point my toes so aggressively. My calves will often get really tight. Lastly, I stretch the back of my calf, so I'm also gonna get the rest of my ankle with a nice, simple figure 4 ankle stretch. Just moving my ankle through the entire range of motion. And guys, that is it. My body feels a million times better right now. Guys, if you are struggling to stretch, my biggest tip is to make it enjoyable for yourself. Find a nice day with beautiful weather and maybe some soft grass or turf and just relax. The more you can enjoy stretching, the easier it will be to do. And guys, if you want to support this channel and help me make more content just like this, go to howtomastertricking.com, check out the website, or even go to my Patreon and become a patron. It would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much and have a lovely day.